Episode 97.
What is up, Dave?
Kansas City is hopping today. What's up, Mike?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is out there.
Oh, they're hopping. They're hopping, all right.
Wow. That's all I got to say.
It was very reminiscent when we started this podcast 2 years ago.
Yeah.
The kind of caliber that game was. It was unbelievable. You couldn't have asked for a better game.
That was the 13-second game 2 years ago, right? When Mahomes had 13 seconds and got him for the field goal, and then they switched the overtime rules.
Yeah.
But oh man, I tell you, let me just say hello to KKFI again out there in Kansas City.
KC?
Guys are extremely happy. Go to the website, Vin and Mike podcast.com, and we are 1 month away, Mike, from episode 100. Woo-hoo! And we got a doozy lined up for people, which we'll wait another, maybe next week, or maybe episode 99. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But we're going to wait a little bit.
Yes.
But our good fans and friends out there already know what it's about. So they know. So it's exciting for us and all that stuff. But where do you want to start? Do you want to start with the Chiefs? Do you want to start with the Bills?
Let's start with the Bills and Chiefs because
so here's the question that I saw on Speak with our good friend Joy Taylor and Emmanuel Acho and Shady McCoy and James Jones. And I'll just start with the question, is Josh Allen good enough to win?
The answer is yes.
Uh-huh.
You saw him just pile through people in his rushing capabilities. But it wasn't Josh Allen's fault. What really screwed up that game was they were just driving past their defense. And then that fake punt. I can't stop thinking about that call. There's plenty of time left in the game. There's one thing to be aggressive, but that was just insane to me, right?
Yeah.
And they were very lucky that they had that fumble in the end zone to get the ball back and try to get back in there, or else the game would have been over then.
Yeah. It
was just, to me, there are certain things. They always talk about strategy and playing the numbers and percentages, but I didn't understand it. And it's not like you were even on the 50-yard line either. You were on your own territory, like 30, 35. It was horrific. And I think the Bills could have won that game.
Yeah. Hardman touched the ball twice and fumbled both times. One they recovered and the other one he lost. So I'm just like, I'm thinking like Kansas City's not going to give him the ball again. But if he doesn't fumble there and they're down on the one, Pacheco most likely is going to score, or they're going to go up by 10. The game's over.
Game's over.
I looked at something that I thought was interesting. So I'll get back to Josh Allen in a second. But I thought what was interesting that I saw, I think it was from week 15 on, that the Chiefs have not allowed double-digit points in the second half in any of those games. So they only let up 7 last night as well. So their defense really steps it up in the second half. But I think Josh Allen is running into, I'm Phillip Rivers playing Tom Brady. I am Patrick Ewing playing Michael Jordan. I think he's running into that where the Pat Mahomes is this immortal guy, and it's going to be very hard to beat him year after year, right?
Yeah, Vinny, that's very well said. It is like Ewing going against Jordan, because what happened with Ewing all those years, there were losses. And the only time they made the finals in '94, Jordan wasn't there. Are we saying that Patrick Mahomes can't be there for the Buffalo Bills? Is that what we're essentially saying?
They've been a 6th straight AFC championship, so my feeling is you're going to have to get past them sooner or later. I mean, I'm just very shocked that at home in that kind of crowd that they didn't play better in certain situations. They got very lucky, like you said, with the fake punt and the fumble, so it really washed. But ultimately, it's just aggravating to see something like that. Especially the Chiefs look like they knew it was coming. They played that like they knew it was coming. So something triggered them, either in film or studying or how they line up. Something definitely triggered them. And that's the other thing, Mike. And this is what we always forget about, is that Andy Reid is a legendary coach. This is his 11th championship game. He was with 5 with the Eagles and 6 with the Chiefs. He's been in 4 Super Bowls. He's 2-2 in Super Bowls. He's a legendary coach, and he's got an immortal quarterback. I mean, this guy's an immortal.
Right.
6 straight AFC championship games. I'm guessing Brady's been in more straight, but I can't think of anybody else that would possibly be in there. It's something I would have to look up. I don't have it. But it's just incredible. I thought the passes he made to Kelsey in certain spots, the MVS catches, and MVS made sure he caught that ball a bunch of times. Pacheco to me is fantastic. What a hard, strong-nosed runner that guy is, right?
He's like a train. Those he got through the defense.
7th round pick, another 7th round pick. Like where do people miss out on these guys? Like Brock Purdy. Like where do you miss out? Like where do you miss out on Pacheco? Like what happens in your evaluation? Because it's not one team that missed on him. It's all 32. Even the Chiefs missed out on him because a 7th round pick is like, all right, maybe this guy can make an NFL team or contribute on special teams or be a practice squad quarterback, right? That's the 7th round is. You're not selecting someone in the 7th round saying it's going to be a franchise quarterback, running back, receiver. It's just not the way it is. So I'm always interested in seeing what was it scouting him that people didn't like.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
Maybe playing at Rutgers. I don't know.
Maybe that's a red flag. Should it be?
I don't know. It's just very impressed with them. Chris Jones on the other side of the ball. That guy's a motor and a half. I tell you, Josh Allen is probably the strongest pound for pound NFL player in the league.
I was amazed just watching him going through that defense.
Oh my God.
Like he could read it. He could read that defense. He knows when to rush. At the same time, Patrick Mahomes is like, can you match this? And there was one play in particular, Patrick Mahomes faked it like up.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Did the fake out, ran right through. You have 2 elite quarterbacks, and both of them couldn't have played any better. Go ahead.
Doesn't Mahomes look like he's running at like 1 mile an hour? Like the way
Josh Allen,
the way he runs, it doesn't look like he's running fast at
all. It looks
all.
like he's running in slow motion.
Yeah, and he's just passing all these guys down the sideline.
Yeah,
but you're right. That fake, and then he went down the sideline and tried to, he did that to show that he can match him. He's got, that guy's a competitive dude. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And he said it. He's like, hey, listen, Bill's Mafia, you wanted us and you got us. He wasn't afraid to say, call them out after that game. That's for sure.
What do we say at the beginning of these playoffs? Momentum. You can never count out Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
What was their season like? It was okay. It was okay at best.
For them, it was terrible. At their level, it was terrible.
And what have they done in the playoffs? Because they have the experience.
Yeah.
They know how to play playoff football.
Yeah. They got that kid Rice really involved in the offense now. Kelsey looks like he's healthy. All of a sudden, he's got like a different gear.
Yeah, he had a really good game.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Mahomes is the guy, and their defense is phenomenal. That's the other thing. Steve Spagnuolo is a immortal defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
You can't forget that. That guy won 2 Super Bowls as a defensive coordinator.
Yeah. You know what's crazy, Vinny? When we look at the team stats, Buffalo had 78 total plays to Kansas City's 47, right?
Yeah.
Buffalo had the ball for 37 minutes to Kansas City's 22. If
Yep.
you look at some of these stats, everything leads to Buffalo. They
Yeah.
had more total yards. Passing yards were pretty even. They had more rushing yards. It's crazy,
Yeah.
right? But what does that come down to? Coaching,
Mhm.
play efficiency. That's what happened.
Yeah, those are two big numbers you threw out there, right? Total offensive plays and time of possession. You usually dominate that, you usually win the game. So they dominated that and lost the game. And I'm not blaming Tyler Bass for the loss.
No.
Those were very hard conditions to kick in. Even if he makes it, are the Bills going to stop Mahomes, coming back down the other way? Bucker is one of the best cold weather kickers in like the history of football. So you can't say that kid lost the game. You can't say he gave them a shot to win. I mean, but again, it seems like every time Buffalo's in that situation, and they even did it with the Eagles in the overtime loss early in the year, they just don't make that play on third down when they need it the most.
Right.
And it's just not, again, I don't want to take anything away from Josh Allen at all, but it just seems like in certain situations, he just doesn't make the play when they need it most. And don't get me wrong, he made phenomenal plays all game. That one where he rolled to his left and threw that touchdown pass to Shakir, that was a crazy pass and catch.
Yeah.
That's like elite of the elite kind of like plays, But I just don't know. I don't know what Buffalo does next year. I'll be honest. I get rid of Stephon Diggs. The guy complains all the time. Throw me the ball, blah, blah, blah. He gets this 60-yard bomb and he drops it down the right sideline. It's like, enough with you. You're always complaining. You get the ball and you don't make the play when it's needed.
Yeah. And to me, like you said, what are they going to do different next year? We all know you always have that small window to get somewhere, right? I don't know.
They just got to get healthy on defense too. Buffalo had a ton of injuries on defense.
They sure did.
So now they travel to Baltimore. Lamar Jackson, 10-10 at halftime. I'm sitting there going, Lamar's 1-3 in the playoffs. Is this going to be one of these Lamar Jackson, I can't take it to the next level kind of games? And then he just took over that game. That defense is fantastic. They only let up 3 points. The touchdown was the punt return. They were just phenomenal on both sides of the ball. He was unbelievable in the second half.
Yeah.
I can't wait for this AFC Championship game. How did you feel? And they did a great job against CJ Stroud. That's the thing. Like rookie quarterbacks, and first
quarterbacks in playoffs. It's tough. Applaud to CJ Stroud. I mean, what he did accomplish this year. But with Lamar Jackson, again, similar to these other quarterbacks like Mahomes and Allen, look at him. Like look at the rushing yards. 11 carries, 100 yards, 2 TDs. He's a huge factor, right? And if you look back at that game, Vinny, the game was tied at 10 at halftime. But great teams like the Ravens know how to just take it to the next level, which they did, and they showed why they were number 1 seed.
All these games were very weird at halftime, right? I think that was 10-10. Was the Niners?
The Niners game was 7-6 at halftime.
10-10 was that game. I think 10-10 was Detroit and
10-10 was Detroit, yeah.
Right, Tampa, right? And the Bills were up 17-13, if I'm correct, against Kansas City, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, tale of two halves in all those games.
Correct.
Every one of those games, the team that won had a much better second half than first half. Every one of them. So, I don't know for Baltimore and San Francisco, the bye week, a little off, all that. I don't know if that plays into it or not. Could be, could not be. Could be a variety of things, especially the weather. In both those places, it was freezing cold in Baltimore. It was pouring rain in San Francisco. So I don't know. Tampa, I tell you, Baker Mayfield, give him a ton of credit. He had a huge rebound season. I think he's going to sign a nice 3-year, $100 million contract or something, something like that. Let's see if they bring Mike Evans back and all that. But let's flip to that game real quick. Lions, what a story, right? I mean, it's their first time since 1957 that they won 2 playoff games in the same season.
I can't believe that.
That's like, Chicago Cubs, Boston Red Sox before they won the World Series in the last 20 years. Prior to that, like all the misery and all that. That's like Detroit Lions. What misery.
I thought being a Jets fan is up. I mean, that franchise, they haven't won a Super Bowl. And like you said, I mean, that's a crazy stat, winning 2 since 1957. I mean, it's
crazy.
I don't even know what to say of that. But
they did.
But here we are with Jared Goff, who
going back to another NFC Championship game.
Yeah.
Give him credit. Yeah. People want to kill the guy. He's been in a Super Bowl. Been in 2 NFC Championship games. Winning solves a lot of issues, right? At the end of the day, winning solves a lot of issues.
Yeah, I just with these Detroit Lions, that was a great game. I mean, throughout. Hats off to Amon-Ra St. Brown. I love watching him play. He made some really clutch plays, had that touchdown. I mean, and then Jahmyr Gibbs on the rushing attack. I mean, the Lions are loaded with offense. Their defense could falter at times, but, man, they are dangerous on offense, and it's going to be really interesting how they match up against the San Francisco team.
I remember during the draft, I killed them for taking Gibbs in the first round. I'm like, who's taking running backs in the first round now, right?
Right.
And then they come back and take Sam Laporta in the second round after they just traded TJ Hawkinson away the prior year. I'm like, why are you drafting a tight end when you just had a great tight end and you traded him away? But it goes to show you, good talent evaluation, Gibbs and Laporta, top offensive guys for offensive rookie of the year. They won't win it. Stroud will win it, but still they're right up there. Bringing David Montgomery in free agency from Chicago. Like you said, St. Brown, they drafted the kid Williams from Alabama, who's finally looking back. They got Reynolds, who was with the Rams at one point. Now he's looking great. They've just really put together a tremendous, like you said, tremendous offense. Dan Campbell's got them ultra motivated. They love him there. All the players talk very highly of him. And Aiden Hutchinson on defense is going to be a superstar. They just need to build a little bit around him. Right. And no matter what happens Sunday, that team has got a bright future moving forward.
Yeah, they sure do.
Future moving forward.
Yeah, they're exciting.
I like to see them win. I'll be honest. I like to see them get to.
It's a great story. You want to hear great? I mean, this is a great story.
Can we get Lamar Jackson versus Jared Goff?
It's very possible.
Yeah. Is that a possibility? Or are we going to get Mahomes and Purdy?
Mahomes going to spoil yet another.
So what do you think about Brock Purdy? What are your feelings on him?
I think he's average. I don't think he's anything great. I mean, he's good. I don't think he's great. Very vulnerable. You see, but again, he's kind of like. You tell me if I'm totally wrong about this. I think he's a much better version of a Jimmy G. Right? When Jimmy G was there, he had a good team around him. I feel that's the same kind of issue that we're dealing with. I give him a little more props than Jimmy G, but I feel like he plays with a really good team. And he also plays with a Christian McCaffrey too, which makes life easy. So that's a steamroller. But yeah, I think. Again, this is what I always said about the Jets even. You just need a decent quarterback, right? If you have a good team around you, you could be decent and go far. I feel that way with the Niners. There's nothing really that stands out to me about him that he's exceptional.
Yeah, I think for me, he doesn't make the plays that cost you the game, right?
Yeah, he's consistent.
He makes passes once in a while. Had some big games throughout the season, but like you said, he has tremendous skill players around him.
Right.
We'll see if Deebo Samuel's healthy for the championship game. I think that's important for them. But like you said, McCaffrey's every game. It's every game this year he's done something. I can't point to a game all season that guy did not do something. He is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like you said, he's a top flight guy. But like we said, we want you not to make bad plays. We want you to make a pass when you have to. And ultimately, we want you to win the game. And that's what Brock Purdy does. Like you said, Jimmy G did the same thing, right? But he made a lot of mistakes at times. He won games, but he made a lot of mistakes. This kid doesn't make a lot of mistakes. He definitely doesn't. It'll be very interesting to see, with the added pressure every, conference championship and potential, let's say they win the Super Bowl, how he responds to all that. He's potentially playing Mahomes or Lamar, right? That's who he's playing. But if he's playing Mahomes, guy that's going to be in his 4th Super Bowl and understands all that, it's a whole different level of pressure. And if you're playing the Ravens crushed them this year. I mean, crushed them. Their defense slaughtered them.
Yeah, and I want to go back to something too, especially with this Lions-Niners matchup.
Yeah.
Jahmyr Gibbs had a great game, but David Montgomery had kind of a mediocre game, right? Yeah. If he could really take it to the next level, they're going to give the Niners a lot of problems. If those two if they can rely on both those guys, that's going to be a big problem for them.
Yeah, that's what they're going to want to do. They want to run the ball, play action pass to St. Brown, Laporta. They signed Zach Ertz. He's going to probably be their second tight end on Sunday because the backup tight end got hurt. So they brought in a veteran, Zach Ertz, which helps. I'm not going to say he's going to score 2 touchdowns, but he just helps, right? I think the big thing for the Lions, which always makes me a little nervous, is their pass defense on the road, right? Like they've had some really horrific road games this
Guys
year.
Wide open,
horrific road games.
Terrible.
I think that Baltimore game, they lost 37-3 or something like that. The Ravens killed the Lions. So that's my only worry, that George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, if Debo's healthy, that they're just running past these guys and Purdy's just lofting the ball all over the place. But we'll see. All right. So Lamar versus Mahomes in Baltimore. I don't know how the weather is going to be. I didn't even look. I guess it'll be a little warmer than it was this week because it's supposed to be warmer here. Let me see if I can find it real quick. But really, the probably the 2 top quarterbacks in the NFL right now.
Yeah, without it.
Lamar's going to win the MVP, and we know Mahomes is just all world. Let's see, 10-day. Here we go, Baltimore. Sunday, 49 degrees.
Perfect.
And rain.
Oh, rain. All right, still.
Overcast, showers at times.
It's so far out.
We'll see if that changes. But usually the temperature doesn't. So 50 degrees is not bad. Everyone will be happy.
Yes.
As Richmond Webb said, 50 degrees is the perfect weather to play football in.
He did say that.
Yeah, so I think everyone will be happy in that game. Right now, Niners, last night, I didn't look at the update. Last night it was 6.5 Niners, and it was 3 Ravens. I'm not sure if it is. Your early bets, Mike, right now on a Monday, way before practices and researching and all that stuff. What are your feelings with those spreads?
Yeah, so you said Lions were what? 6? Is it 6.5? What'd you say?
6.5. I saw. Let me just say. I'll give you a quick update, real quick.
Go
It is 7 now,
Okay.
and 3 for the Ravens.
All right. So let's start with the Lions of San Francisco. As I said, I think Brock Purdy, as you said, he doesn't make mistakes. I think he's good. I don't think he's great. McCaffrey's obviously been amazing. But this Detroit Lions team, there's a story right here. And I truly believe, although they're on the road, it could be dangerous territory, that they're going to play well. We saw that with the Packers. We kind of had a feeling the Packers were going to keep it close. And I feel these Detroit Lions are going to do that as well, especially if Montgomery has a big game too. If Montgomery could work with Jameer and have that game with him, and they work together on the running game, obviously incorporated with the play action, they're going to keep it close. I think the Lions could keep it within a field goal. I really think it's going to be closer than people think. I really want the Lions to win it. I'm like, my heart's with the Lions. But I don't think San Francisco has been that great. And as you said, it may have been because of the bye, but I was not that impressed. Yeah. And when do we talk about these playoffs? It's all about momentum. I think the Detroit Lions have it. There's a story there, and I think they keep it very close. So that's my prediction on that game. The Ravens game, it's going to be tough. 2 of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, the rushing, it's a really difficult one. I got to go with Baltimore here. That's my gut, but we know Mahomes and Reed could be the spoiler. I'm not going to touch that game with a 10-foot pole. I may look at the over and under, which we did very well with last weekend. Yeah. We hit that. That's the probably bet I would make based on what that total is and what these teams are capable of. I'd probably lean towards the over unless it was something like astronomical, but that's how I would probably bet that game. So I would do +7 with the Lions, and then as long as that over-under is something that's, we knew when it was 45 in the game last night, we had to take that 45.5. If it's something at that level, even a little, I would take that in a heartbeat. So.
Yeah, I would expect it to be higher than what we saw in Buffalo, because our feeling was it was at 45 because of the weather, but at the same time, we know those guys can move the ball in any kind of weather, which they did. And the -6, we had the Lions over Tampa. Did you get nervous at 31-23?
Of course I did.
They went for 2.
So interesting that you bring that up.
Yeah.
Because there was people talking about that. Why did Todd Bowles do that?
Yeah.
Why was that necessary? Why did he just go for the extra point? But again, these teams more now than ever, it's all about the analytics. And their process was, even if you miss it, right? If you get the opportunity to get the ball back, you could still go for the 2 and tie it up, right? So that didn't really bother me. That didn't really cost them the game.
No, they weren't even there to score another touchdown.
So that didn't bother me at all. But yes, I was nervous. I'm like, please don't make that 2-point conversion for our sake.
Yeah. So the percentage of making 2-pointers is 55%.
Yep.
All right. So that means, as we know, you didn't make the first one. The odds of you making the second one are great, right? They're in your favor, right? You're right at that 50% mark at that point. So what you're trying to do is win the game, because you make the first 2-pointer, then you just have to come down and make the extra point, and then you win the game. So that's the analytics behind it. The old traditional guys, they want to kick extra points, they want to force overtime, they don't, because the odds of making extra points is, way in the high 90s and all this stuff and blah blah blah. But I get the reason. I get both ends of it, right? But I think you're going to just see teams really looking at analytics and really breaking it down and making decisions to do things just based on success rate.
Of course,
that's the way a lot of teams are building staffs now. That's the way they're coaching, and they're continuing to look to see how they can improve on those.
And in addition to that, I like when coaches. It's early in the game. It's 4th and 1, right? And you're at the 1-yard line, right? And you just say, in the worst case, if we don't convert, they have it at their 1-yard line. They got to go 99 yards. Let's try to get our points. I like that, opposed to just taking 3 points, right? But it depends, as you said. Are you really a conservative coach, or are you more of an aggressive coach? But I find, as watching the NFL for many years, that kind of standpoint has changed. A lot of coaches back in the day would just take the 3 points, get on the board. You're seeing a lot more coaches going for it, I feel, and getting, because it's hard. They figure it's so hard to score in the red zone that you gotta try to get up early, especially if you're on the road.
Yeah,
If you're on
and
the
it depends. It depends who you're playing, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to kick 3-pointers from inside the 5-yard line playing the Chiefs, because my feeling is Mahomes is going to come down and score a touchdown on me. Right? And I'm down 7-3. I'd rather, take the opportunity here and put 6 on the board and be up 7-0, and then give him the ball back, right? Those kind of things. I think Baltimore against Houston played a little more conservative because they were home and they knew their defense against the rookie quarterback, and they got the best kicker in the history of football. Well, maybe not the history, but one of the best ever in Justin Tucker. He's going to make all those field goals for you as well, right? And I think they played that way early because of, again, home game, their defense, and who they were playing. I don't see Baltimore kicking 3 against the Chiefs this weekend inside the 5-yard line. Right. I think they go for it there on 3rd and 4th. Run, get it to Lamar, let him run outside, make all those crazy plays that he makes. Guy's an unbelievable athlete. It's just unbelievable, and he makes great throws. It amazes me, the skill sets of Pat Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and Josh Allen. We haven't never seen guys at their skill sets. We just haven't.
No, it's great to watch. I mean, I just go back to Josh Allen yesterday. He was like a freight train going through.
He was running into Chris Jones. Chris Jones is a massive man. Just kept running through him. Running through linebackers. Those poor safeties had no shot. Like, no shot. That 4th down play that he ran, he just ran everybody over. It's unbelievable. So, all right. What else impressed you about Sunday? Anything?
I think the team that impressed me the most was Kansas City. It's never easy being on the road, and everything. I think a lot of people, including myself, Bills being home, they lost to them 5 straight times at that point. We talked about the stats, but great teams know how to win, and they find a way. So that's Patrick Mahomes for you.
Yeah.
That's all I could say. The team that I was most disappointed with was the 49ers. I think that, and congrats to the Packers for a great season, and to our Packers fans who's been on the show, Kyle, Chris, and John. I mean, that team at one time, they didn't even think about the playoffs. They made an amazing run. They beat Dallas in Dallas, and they were undefeated. They played them really well. Packers could have won that game. They were that close. 49ers just did not impress me at all, and that's why I'm surprised that the point spread is 7 right now. But I just something just tells me the Lions are going to keep it close. And it may be one of these games where you get a little nervous, where maybe the 49ers go up the first drive or so. But this is a Detroit Lions team. They're going to play their hearts out. It's a story, and we'll see what happens. I don't know.
Yeah, they can't go down double digits to this Lions team. They're not built that way, right? I tell you, Jordan Love, I thought he was going to struggle out there in San Francisco, and despite that last throw of the game, that's a young player making just a bad mistake. Brett Favre made those throws when he was an 18-year veteran, right? Made those kind of mistakes. So I don't want the guy to get killed over that. There's a lot of
and he shouldn't at all.
But listen, he got that ball to those receivers, and they're young receivers, and Aaron Jones continued to show that he's a top back. I think the defense got better as they went into the playoffs. I think we had Kyle on, and he was worried about the defense. I think the defense played really well.
They held their own for sure
in both games,
Yeah.
So I think there's a very interesting NFC North going on, right? Because you got a good Lions team, a good Packers team, a Bears team that's probably going to draft Caleb Williams, who's supposed to be the next Pat Mahomes, and the Vikings team that was competitive, right? They just lost their quarterback. My guess is they'll bring him back. I don't know. But NFC North, all of a sudden, looks like one of the best divisions in football. It almost looks like the AFC North.
I know.
Were you disappointed in watching those games and thinking about where the Jets were going into the season?
No.
And if they would have had an opportunity to be in those spots.
It wasn't even on my mind, to be honest with you. I was just enjoying football. Obviously, at the end of the season, I was extremely disappointed what could have been. But I can't even think like that because I'm just going to get upset.
Okay. I don't want you crying.
I'm not crying over it, all right?
Don't get that upset.
No, in all seriousness, the Jets when we look at this AFC East going into next year, we talked about at the beginning of the show how the Bills, what are they going to do and incorporate to get to the next level, right? The Dolphins, I think, they're going to be good for a little while. I think they still have some improvements. But it all depends. The Jets, they're off that get that offensive line going, right? Aaron, you're only as good as your offensive line.
Yeah, it starts there.
I mean, so they really got to focus on that and a lot of things in the offseason because Aaron Rodgers could be great, and I'm wishing him all the best. But if he's going to be pressured in a way where he can't even succeed, then it's going to be the same old Jets next year. So let's see what happens in the offseason. But yes, Vinny, that game one, everything that happened, and then even going into the season where I really thought in my mind after what happened with Zach Wilson that I was supportive, but we could have went out and get a veteran quarterback. We could have done something different, and they didn't choose to do that for whatever reason. So, yeah, things didn't pan out, but you got to just hope that and you got to keep these guys happy too. Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson, they want to win.
Sure.
They don't want to keep enduring losing and being a laughing stock, right? Because these are two extremely talented players, and Joe Douglas did a great job of building, but with injuries, things went down a little bit, but they're still a talented team. Now you just have to put everything together again. So we'll see what happens.
No, you're right. They're very good on defense. Breece Hall, to me, is going to be a top 5 running back in the league probably next year. You're going to see Garrett Wilson is a legit number 1. You just got to improve in some of those areas. So we'll see how it goes. The draft's coming, free agency, all that fun stuff. April's here, springtime. All that good stuff that makes you feel good about your team again. We all reset. And we all think we can win a Super Bowl again.
I hope so.
All right. Tell our audience about your Saturday night, where you were, what you did. Go ahead.
Yeah, so there's nothing like going to the Garden for a game. MSG.
Your New York
Knicks. The greatest feeling. So, first game at the Garden for this season. It was electric because they played the Raptors, and this was the return of R.J. Barrett and Emmanuel Quickly. And, New York fans can be very tough, as we know. But New York fans can be very fair if the efforts are there. And both those guys did nothing but play their hearts out. So when they were introduced, standing ovation, as it should have been. Yeah. And these guys wanted to win badly.
Oh, yeah.
And in that first first quarter, the Knicks were down in the first quarter. They cut the margin, and then they just played New York Knicks basketball, and they just blew them out, right? So Jalen Brunson had 38 points. Julius Randle right there. I mean, those two have been phenomenal. Hartenstein at center, but he got hurt towards the end, so I don't know how long he's going to be out for. It's going to be very interesting if the Knicks think about, depending on how long his injury is, and we have to look at it, what's going to happen in that position. Who do you bring in? Maybe you get somebody to come in. Will be interesting because he played a lot of minutes. But they're a fun team to watch. They play with so much heart, as we always talk about. The respect that they have for Thibodeau, you could see it on the court. You could see it off the court. And just being there was just it was a lot of fun. The trade with OG, as I said, that there was a lot of redundancy with Barrett and Quickly, and with OG now you get a really strong defensive player, and I could tell that they're spreading out the court better. And you look at this lineup, Vinny, OG, Randall, Hartenstein, Brunson, and DiVincenzo. It's a great starting lineup. Then off the bench, Josh Hart, other Villanova guy, right? So you have your Villanova guys playing together. Also, I always talk about OG, but Precious Achiuwa, he had 18 points last game.
Yeah.
And that's a position that, again, he wasn't really talked about too much in the trade, but he's a great complement.
And he'll probably play center if Hartenstein's not playing.
So I think this trade, and I know you weren't a huge fan of it,
no.
But again, to me, it just takes you to – it's not going to take you up here, but it gets you up a little bit. And then hopefully as they think about things in their future, you have more trade capital. But they're a fun team. And there's no reason – they're 26-17 right now. I believe they're a 5th seed right now, very close to a 4th seed. They'll probably end up in that vicinity, and then it's just all about, hey, what happens in the playoffs, home court advantage. You're going to have to eventually play when you get to the next levels, a Milwaukee Bucks team, Boston Celtics team, and how do you compete with them? I still say we're just that one player away, but at least we're making moves to get there, slowly but surely. But they're a great team to watch, and I was glad I got to experience a win when I was there.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see if they're going to make one more move, this season, or they're just setting themselves up for some off-season moves and trying to fill in the blanks around Brunson and potentially Randall. I don't know. I don't know if Randall is the long-term guy with Brunson. I think they want him to be. I think they want to just add another guy there, but I'm not sure if that's the way they're going to go. Is there anyone that impressed you more live than than watching them on TV?
Actually, watching Josh Hart, I know he didn't have that many points, but he had close to 10 rebounds. I think he was right there. Josh Hart, the way he moves around the court, it was interesting watching him live. And then, of course, watching anything live, just watching Jalen Brunson, just he's a leader. What?
The speed, like to see the speed live is so different.
His speed, his vision on the court, and just in past years, the Knicks' unselfish play. That's what I will say was really impressive to see live. The extra pass, just smart basketball. But getting back to Julius Randle, I've had so many mixed emotions about him over the last couple years. Going back to the playoffs a couple years ago, we know that he did not have a good playoff. Then there became talks of a trade back then. Then they brought in Jalen Brunson, and people, including myself, said, okay, he's not going to have as much pressure on him, right? So he could be a B player right now. Jalen could be an A player, and they'll complement each other well. And it was happening for a while. I think his game has gotten progressively better. His shot selection has been more precise and he's driving more to the basket. But there are still times where he plays that isolation basketball, and you just are like, please pass it. Then he gets into double team situations and throws the ball away. But compared to last year, better. He still has a lot of work to do, right? But he's a good player. It's just, again, the isolation game. It bothers me sometimes because that's the one piece I think that's really missing that he can improve.
Yeah. Yeah. I've just been impressed that they are 26 and 17. I'll be honest. It's a very tough Eastern Conference. Like you said, Boston and Milwaukee, Philadelphia, a lot of superstar players, on those teams. And better players than the Knicks, right? I mean, to be fair, but it's not a one-player game. It's just not. You have to have team play. You have to be able to do other things besides score 50 points a game. So,
and if what's interesting, Vinny, if you look at the Celtics in Milwaukee and they were to have an injury, right? They have others, they have multiple players that could step up. If Jalen Brunson had a horrific injury, I'm not sure how that would work out for them as far as competing, right?
Yeah.
He is really the main guy. They rely so much on him. He's a visionary on the court, right? So, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at the standings now, right? Cleveland's 25 and 15. I still think the Knicks are better than Cleveland.
I do too.
Miami is behind them at 24 and 19.
Yeah, but you got to be scared of Miami, though.
Indiana 24 and 19. Just made
They're making moves.
trade.
Yeah.
Orlando, Chicago, Atlanta. Brooklyn is only 17 and 25. I thought they'd be a little bit better than that.
They're playing them tomorrow night.
Boston finally lost the home game.
I know.
The big joker. How about Minnesota 30 and 12? Minnesota, OKC, Denver, Clippers, Pelicans, Zion, Phoenix trying to pull it out. And then the Detroit Pistons, 4 and 38.
How many games do you think they win this year? What's your
4 and 38?
Do they get to 10 wins? Probably not.
No, they probably won't win 10 games. They'll probably win 9.
They'll be right there. Yeah, they're on pace to win 9.
They might win 10 because teams start, resting guys towards playoffs and everything.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they're going to do. Think about that. The highest paid coach in basketball is your coach. And you gave him, an 8-year deal?
Yeah.
Right? It's 8 years, something like that. I mean, what do? You can't get rid of the coach. You got to refresh something. I mean, where are they struggling the most? They have no veteran players. That's the big thing. They don't have a single veteran good player on that team. Everybody's young and like real young. They're like the Packers wide receivers. That's what they're like.
The analogy.
I mean, they're just the only thing is the Packers receivers were successful. These guys, I mean, wow. I don't know. How is it to come to the court every day and when you start losing, like you gotta figure you lose your desire to be there. I don't know.
It's bad.
It's like, oh, can we just go home now? It's like when you're playing in that 5-degree weather, and you're down 21-0 in the third quarter. Can we just go home? It's 5 degrees. I don't want to be out here anymore. We're not going to win this game. We can't even hold on to the ball, kind of thing. I mean, I know basketball is much different, but Did you see Caitlin Clark get run into?
Yeah, I saw that. She got run over. Ohio State. Yeah. She's lucky she's okay.
Yeah. She says she just got the wind knocked out of her.
Yeah, I think that looked worse seeing it than it actually was.
I watched it a couple of times. I thought, oh my God.
That was a great game.
Yeah, give Ohio State credit.
Yeah.
You know, that Iowa team, she's unbelievable.
The way she's kind of like the Steph Curry of women's the way she shoots those threes.
30-foot three-pointers.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. You think the LSU team will bounce back? They got some issues there.
We'll see.
Some locker room problems between those girls. I don't know what's going on there.
I think you have to go in and straighten it out.
I'll end up coming out with 2 black eyes. Oh, man. And the lady from Stanford, the coach there, she won the most games in NCAA history.
That's impressive.
I didn't realize she's been coaching like 47 years.
Wow.
Imagine that.
No.
It's like let's just say you start coaching at 25. You know, she's 72, let's just say. I don't even know how old she is or isn't. But that's unbelievable.
It's like Jim Boeheim, right?
Oh, he coached forever.
He coached for, I think, close to 50.
Yeah,
right?
Forever. Coach forever.
That's one of my favorite documentaries, that Big East documentary.
From the 80s?
30 for 30, yeah. Just how it started, how they just, I mean, it was incredible what they did.
There were teams that were ranked 10, 11, and 12 in the Big East that could beat any other team in any other conference.
Yeah.
Like those Providence teams could beat teams, right? Boston College back in the day.
Yeah.
Those teams, you know, forget about St. John's and Georgetown and Villanova and Connecticut and Syracuse and all the winning teams that won national championships. It's the other level of teams that were unbelievable.
That still goes down probably as one of the biggest upsets in college basketball when Villanova beat Georgetown.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think anyone thought that was going to happen with that team.
That was prior to the three-point shot, So that's what a lot of people, you know, have to remember. So where Villanova's strength was of course shooting the ball from the outside.
Right.
Was Patrick being in the middle. So, but there was no three-pointer back then. But they made every shot. They legitimately made like almost every shot. They had to play the perfect game.
You had to play perfect.
You know, Patrick was in the championship his freshman year.
82.
82 they weren't. 84 they won, and then 85 they lost to Villanova. He was in 3 out of his 4 years in the finals.
Yeah.
And he lost to Michael Jordan and James Worthy in 82. And then the most miracle Villanova team with Raleigh Massimino and Ed Pinckney.
That was a fun guy to watch, Coach. He was so animated.
Oh, yeah. He was.
You know who else I loved was Jerry Tarkanian from
With his towels?
With his towels.
Larry Johnson and Stacey Augman.
That was a great documentary, too.
Those were good UNLV teams. Played very good Duke teams.
Still think about that Christian Laettner shot
Against Kentucky.
That just – there's somebody, elite college player, just didn't make it in the pros.
No, the game don't translate.
Just like Pearl Washington, same thing.
Yeah, some guys' game don't translate. You know, Glenn Robinson, to me, was one of the best college players I saw. Didn't really translate in the NBA. And then there's other guys like Grant Hill, who you thought was, going to be like a passer, distributor kind of player in the NBA, and became like an all-time like great scorer and everything along with it, right? Yeah. Like, it's just, I don't know what it is, but Laettner is definitely one of those guys that was phenomenal in college and just didn't translate. That's another one, right? I Hate Christian Laettner, right? Isn't
That's another documentary.
Yeah. That was a good one too.
Yeah.
And then you had Shaquille O'Neal, who was told to go to the NBA because you're going to get hurt. Imagine that.
Yeah, and that's one I just watched recently, this Magic moment about the Orlando Magic, just with him and Penny. Yep.
Yeah. Penny was amazing when he first came in the league too.
It was. Those two together were awesome. I
Yeah,
wonder if they're still. There seemed like there was. They had some hardship. I wonder if they're close again. Him and Penny.
I don't know.
You don't hear about. Penny's a very
He's
shy.
He's a coach somewhere, right?
I think so. I forget if it's a small
I forget where he's.
college.
I thought he was coaching somewhere. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Maybe like Arkansas. No. Where did he go to college? You remember?
Now let's look it up.
I don't remember where he went. Because maybe that's where he's coaching.
Let's see. He went to Memphis.
And that's where he's the head coach. Yeah.
Wow. Remains the only Memphis player to have 2 career triple doubles and his 1,319 points in only 2 seasons. Ranked 17th on the school's career scoring list. Huh.
He's been the head coach there since 2018.
Yeah.
Yes, he was a 4-time NBA All-Star, 2-time NBA All-First Team, but that was it. He had a very short window. He had like 4 years, and that was it.
Yeah.
Then he just he left Orlando. I think he had knee surgery, right?
He did.
Yeah.
I forget what year it was.
He was at the Knicks, remember?
Yeah, for a short time.
Yeah. Knee injuries do that. Yeah, he's the coach at Memphis where he played.
Yeah. All right. Well, that will do it for another
episode. 97 in the books. 98 next week.
How excited are you for this 100th episode? It's going to be pretty special.
Yeah, it'll probably be an hour of screaming and yelling and hollering. I'll probably lose my voice by the time we're done, but who cares at that point? Right?
There'll be a nice cold beer for you right after.
Or 10.
Or 10.
Give me a wing and I'm good.
Exactly.
All right, Mike. You have a good night.
You too, Vin.
I'll see you next week.
See you next week, everybody.